Good evening. It's Saturday, the 19th of December, 2020. Diane Hans bringing you Book for the Day, Human Crossings, 9 stories about refugees. And for the past few days, I've been reading to you a story written by Dunn, The New Jungle Project. Doug had been to see a play in London called The Jungle, which was based on a refugee camp called The Jungle in Calais. And it was acted out by refugees and volunteers. And he'd just happened to have met these people again. And this is where we left the story yesterday. I had no idea. People are going on moon trips, said Salah. Some people have more money than brains. I agree. Who can afford to spend millions on a 1-week trip? Said Beth. I'm hoping the flight fare will come down in the future, said Derek. Everything is happening so quickly. Before long, there will be a people living on the moon. Do you think people are ready to live on the moon? I asked. Do you think people will be able to live together in such a close community? No, I don't think they will be, replied Salah. I think a lot of research needs to happen before they let people live in space, said Sam. What kind of research? What problems do you think people need to look at? Derek asked. I was pleased Derek was asking questions. Food research, said Salah. How to grow and make it. Water, said Okot, the young refugee from West Sudan. Sanitation, said Beth. How to dispose of waste. Yes, let's not have landfill on the moon. We want to keep it as clean as possible, Sam said. How about crime? How would they deal with fighting or bad behaviour? Salah laughed. This reminds me of our weekly elders meetings. They could have the same sort of problems we had in the jungle. I agree with you, Salah, I said. You all have useful community building skills. We missed one. What about sex? Said Beth. I think there could be some big problems on the moon around that subject. That might be true. All these things could be looked at and discussed before people go there. Yes, they should. There was no planning before the jungle. It just happened as we went along, said Salah. Perhaps that's why it didn't last, said Derek. We didn't know there would be so many migrants. There was no pre-planning. That's right, but I'm sure migration to the moon will eventually happen, and maybe sooner than we think. So, what can we do before they start sending people up there? I went to the cafe to buy a few snacks. When I returned, everyone was laughing. We think they should build a community here first, said Sam. Yes, said Salah. We think a group of about 20 people and from different countries would be good, with a common language being English. Beth said Sam and I would like to volunteer for the new community. Salah said he would if he can grow and cook food. Okat doesn't believe we have actually been to the moon, but he still wants to come. Brilliant, I said. Let's go with your idea. Where could we locate our camp? What do you think about building again in Carre? No way, says Beth. I hate the French. I would never want to go back to that place. I agree, said Sam. I still have nightmares about that time the bulldozers came. I know you don't want to return to Calais, I said. That must have been the worst night of your lives, when the camp was closed down. To see your home being pulled down, hundreds of migrants still gather there. Returning and setting up another camp there would be a great way of remembering the work you did. A kind of legacy to the jungle. Perhaps we could call it the new jungle. That sounds good, said Derek, but the French government won't be interested. The president said he wants no more homeless migrants in the woods. They're unlikely to support a permanent camp, said Sam. Derek, would you be willing to act as our news contact person? I asked. I think the French president is keen to create something new and inspiring around the refugee issue. Sure, I keep a log of news articles and social media posts. Derek always liked to keep up with the news and keep people informed. Start by writing a letter to the president. We should invite him to a meeting where we propose a plan, I said. Are you serious? What plan? We don't really have one, said Beth. And that's where we're leaving it for today. And tomorrow we will look at what the plan was going to be. Good night. Human Crossings, 9 stories about refugees, can be found on Amazon. And you can also find out more about Human Crossings on our Facebook page. Thank you. Good night.